Honestly, the Tesla supercharger network is really impressive, and there are only a few places that it can't take you in 2021. But one of those places is Glacier National Park. Now, I almost let that stop me from visiting this winter, because I saw there was going to be a supercharger built sometime next year, but we all know how Tesla timelines work, so don't let that stop you from visiting right now. In this video, I'm going to talk about the charging options you do have in the area, mostly in the nearby town of Whitefish, Montana, some winter activities you can do both inside and outside the park in town, and lastly, some considerations for your range and efficiency so you don't run out of battery while you're there. So if you don't have a Tesla and you're not interested in EVs, you can probably skip this one. Otherwise, let's go. Looking at PlugShare, you'll see that the closest chargers to the park are these 5 level 2 chargers in Whitefish. So you've got 3 that are Tesla destination chargers at these lodges and then this bed and breakfast. So if you can stay at one of those, that's awesome. But if you can't for some reason, then these other 2 chargers, the parking garage and the hospital, are going to be your go-tos. Now, I will note that there are 2 level 2 chargers in the park that I was really stoked on, but unfortunately they're both turned off for the winter, and I think they're for lodge guests anyway, so don't get trapped there trying to rely on those. Luckily, the options we do have in town are solid. So the hospital I really wouldn't use unless, God forbid you have a personal emergency. Get that juice. But the parking garage is amazing. It's got 2 level 2 chargers on the 2nd floor and then 2 level 2 chargers on the roof. They're all free and it's in a great location in the middle of town. The only caveat is that you're technically not supposed to park there from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays. So you'll have to find something else to do during that time, but you're just going to want to charge overnight anyway, and the town has plenty of stuff to do, so I'm going to talk about that in this next section. So as I mentioned, Whitefish is a cool town. It's got pretty much everything. You've got your dives like the Bulldog Saloon, which was a pretty awesome place. You got to check out this website. But it's also got a fair share of hotels and restaurants and, upscale bars. It's got arts and crafts and boutiques if you're into that. I also had one of the better deals on crepes I've had in my entire life at this shop right here. But probably my favorite part about the entire town was the shoreline. So it's got this huge lake next to it with this nice public beach you can access at any time of the year, which makes it perfect for an Arctic dip. I have no choice. Oh. I know, yeah, I don't know why I do this. This is awful. On your way to the park, which is only about a half-hour drive away, you'll want to check on the weather because in my experience that greatly impacts the vibe of the entire place and will probably limit the amount of things that you'll want to do. For example, the first day I was there, it was overcast and pretty deserted and it kind of had this eerie feeling to it, which was kind of cool. And I know you can go hiking and cross-country skiing and snowshoeing and even just driving around looking at scenery when it's cloudy, but for me, that's all way more enjoyable when the sun comes out.
All right, this is like the entrance. Go all the way up. Pretty much past this. All this stuff, all this good stuff is closed in the winter, at least to cars, right? So you can't drive up there.
But these 2 trailheads alone have more than enough hiking trails for a day trip. Looking at this sign, you can see all these distances are just one way, so you have multiple days worth of adventure here, even without going further up the closed road. You just gotta keep an eye on the time because you're almost in Canada and the sun will set really quickly in the winter. And lastly, I'll just touch on my findings on range and efficiency getting in and out of the park. So for me, this 75-mile drive from Whitefish to Lake McDonald and back, including driving around and using heat all day, used between 35 to 40% of my battery, which evened out to about 120 EPA miles if you want to relate that to your car. And there's not a lot of elevation difference, so I got about my average of 320 watt-hours per mile. So those are my tips for visiting Glacier National Park in an EV in the winter. I hope this video was useful for you, and if you have suggestions for the next park I do, please leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. So thank you guys, I really appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time here on Earth.